because he served as the National Security Council as Director for Transnational Threats. Retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery joins me now. He also served as the Policy Director for the Senate Armed Services Committee under late Senator John McCain. I would note a prisoner of war himself, who would have been undoubtedly opinionated on what is happening right now. Let me ask you where we left off for a second there, because that might be revelatory to some people, that there's never a time that the military, under their attack rules, is able to go in and essentially obliterate the enemy in some way. There is never an appropriate way to give an order to kill all, even if they think that their lives are in danger or otherwise. Can you describe to me a little bit about your perception of the information as you have it and the legality of that?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And, first I'd say we need some more facts. And I'm really hoping that the Senate Armed Services Committee and the House Armed Services Committee do their proper oversight, investigate this, have a hearing, and get the actual facts.
Yeah.
Because in the absence of that, it's hard. But what I will tell you is, you had a great quote from the DOD's, Department of Defense's Law of War Manual. And in fact, I'll tell you, it's under the heading of, quote, clearly illegal orders. And it was done as an example for lawyers to understand what's an illegal order. And then it talks about don't attack shipwrecked sailors. So look, that is going to end up, I think that is, you do not attack shipwrecked sailors. We historically don't give orders to give no quarter, which is what John you was referring to earlier. So in both cases, I think we're going to have a real challenge, for the personnel involved in this. Now, I think it does start with the Secretary of Defense and how he gave that order and what he gave. And you showed some great quotes there from his speech to all the admirals and generals, where he was fairly dismissive of what has been a long tradition of rules of engagement in our military that stretches all the way back, to George C. Marshall in World War II and all the way back to George Washington during the Revolutionary War.
Let me ask you, you mentioned Congress and the oversight. Senate Armed Services Chairman Roger Wicker says he does not know if there were any survivors who were killed in the second attack on September 2nd. It's now December. That's 3 months later. Is that information gap usual? No.
And this, I would say, this is a highly uncooperative administration on these sorts of issues.
Should they be?
No. We're a democracy. We're a transparent democracy. Our military is anchored in civil-military relations. The Armed Services Committee has a clear oversight responsibility. He has investigators. He and Senator Reid, the ranking member, should direct them to conduct an investigation of this and eventually have a hearing on it. And that hearing should feature Secretary Hegseth. And then, if the answers drive you to it, then you talk to Admiral Bradley. But the truth is, this starts with the Secretary of Defense, because he clearly gave the first orders, and that's acknowledged. What happens after that is the confusion.
John, here's what Secretary Hegseth actually told Fox News the day after the September 2nd boat strike that's presently under scrutiny. Listen.
Now, I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented.
So CNN reports it's actually not clear whether Hegseth knew there were survivors before the second strike. But then during an operation like these strikes at all, would a Secretary of Defense, would they typically interject in the middle of a live operation, or is it left to the commanding officer at that point to carry out whatever mission began?
So even in the most sensitive attacks, like the takedown of Osama bin Laden, in the end, power and authority was given to the JSOC commander, the operational commander, and he executed it. Now, it was observed closely, but he executed it. So it would strike me as unusual if day-to-day operations were being supervised by the Secretary of Defense. And if they were, that would be a further complication for an operational commander to have that kind of immediate input while you're still trying to determine all the facts and make a decision of what to do next.
Including the amount of time that lapsed between first strike and second strike, how important would that be?
It's critical that you have opportunity to do a proper battle damage assessment, determine the actual status of those personnel that allegedly were in the water, and then make a determination of what you're supposed to do next. John, you had it right. Our actual requirement is to rescue shipwrecked officers. And I'll tell you, after World War II, we identified, tracked down, arrested, tried, and executed Japanese and German ship captains who fired on shipwrecked American sailors. So there is a long history that this is wrong. There's a reason it's the easy example in the clearly illegal order section of the law of war. So it is disconcerting.
Secretary Hegseth says he's an American hero and has 100% of his support. So we'll see what questions might be answered. Admiral Mark Montgomery, thank you.
Thank you for having me.